Welcome back to another episode of Live Coding with RabbitWerks JavaScript. Tonight is episode 19 of the Tasker app series, and we're going to do a little bit of bootstrapping, a little bit of Moment.jsing, and a little bit of Vuexing tonight. So if you look at our to-do for the live stream, it looks like we're going to bring in a modal instead of this confirm. So instead of this confirm right here, we're going to bring in a Bootstrap modal, and this Moment.js library we'll pull in for using for our dates, and then we'll get some pull in Vuex and set up our store. And the store we're going to use to kind of track some basic stats throughout the app. And it's mainly just for a learning process, and it's not super critical to be tracking anything. We're going to basically track like the number of current tasks, completed tasks, number of tasks completed on time versus late kind of stuff. It's really basic stuff to practice working with state management inside of Vuex, so it'll be pretty cool. Starting to get my head wrapped around it pretty well, so I feel like we're going to be able to use that pretty effectively. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. And cool. Music tonight is brought to you by freeCodeCamp Radio unofficially. Go check them out. Link is in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get started. So last session we came across a certain bug, and so you notice how these buttons right here, the manage buttons, are on this right side. Well, initially when we load, they end up on the left, and I wasn't sure quite right why that was going on. Then I just doing some investigating a little bit, and if you look, see this div that contains them all, it has the class of flexbox space between. And that basically just applies a flexbox, flex1, and then the justify content space between. So it would give it just, apply flexbox to it for that. And because we have an archive button that is supposed to be where this edit details button is, so we have this display issue going on, and I was looking at what could be causing it, and I was trying to play around and find some different causes, and I wasn't able to see anything, but I was looking at this outside div and this flexbox space between class on there, and I was looking through the styles on the style panel of the dev tools, and I was noticing that flexbox space between class isn't on here. So that got me thinking that must be the case, because when I click this complete and toggle back over to the current task component, these buttons are in the correct place, and we can look at excuse me, we can look at that outside div again, and we'll see that it has the flexbox space between, but now it actually has that style or that class applied to it, whereas before it didn't, and it was giving us this weird display thing. So I'm trying to figure out why that's not being applied right away. So if we look and we refresh, you see the buttons are back over there, and we're at this div with the class, and it's of flexbox space between, but it's not in there. So I wonder how we can fix that. I wonder if we can just, if it's a situation where we're bringing in the class from a different component, so it's not being applied correctly. So maybe if we just bring that class into the style tag for our manage buttons component, it will load properly without having any display issues. We could try that, and we just recreate it really quick. And so let's display flex. Flex is 1, and justify content is, where is it? There we go. Space between. Alright, so I wonder if we refresh it and look, boom, it's there. So cool. It must be a situation where it's not rendering properly because that class, for whatever reason, doesn't get applied correctly unless it's on this style tag for it. I don't think it should make a difference that we have this class in 2 different spots, because when we build the application, Webpack bundles it up and all that stuff, it's gonna just take duplicates and all that stuff and merge everything into one nice cohesive minified CSS file or whatever, how it works. So we won't have to worry about duplicates, but it's just not a good practice in general to have multiple classes of the same thing kind of scattered throughout your app. But so anyways, cool. So we have that little bit thing figured out. Let's see if we complete it, if it gives us what we want each time. It looks like that was what was causing our display issue. So cool. And okay, let's just clear this out, give that a good refresh. Cool. Our buttons are resting in the right spots now. That's always a plus. So let's see. This one is done. So let's take a look at what we can do next. Let's see. Let's try and pull in this modal. So first let's go to Bootstrap's docs and see what is all required to do this. And I think we need to pull in Popper for this. jQuery. Be sure to read the following, as our menu options have recently changed. Geez, what the heck? Is that a phone line or something? Okay. Alright, let's grab this markup and see what happens. So, we want this modal. We'll probably want to make its own into its own component, but for now we're gonna just build it into the, what is it? We could build it into the manage buttons component because we have the delete method inside of this. So if we were to say, let's just go underneath I've never used the modals before in Bootstrap, so this is kind of a learning experience as I go. Let's see. Alright, okay, so let's just say I'm just gonna gonna try putting that here just to see what that does for our thing. Modals might be trickier than anticipated. Alright, so it looks like this is toggling. So button type, class, data toggle, modal, data target. Should we just put this in here really quick just to see? And I think we're gonna need popper. I'm not really sure how to use the modal. Modal content, remove the animation. Okay, I'm gonna learn how to do this before we try and bring it in properly. So for now, we're not gonna worry about that. So, because I want to learn how to do it the right way and then explain it. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. So I still want to do that. Let's take a look at Moment.js and see what we can do for that. Alright, so you can just npm install it really quick and pull it in. Oops, let's see. And okay, let's make this a little bit bigger and come in here and say npm I moment, and that'll save it to our dependencies automatically. I think does that still. Let's just check and see. Look at the JSON file. Okay, so let's just save it to the dependencies as well, dev dependencies. Alright, it's in there now, and so we should be able to go to main, and I think we bring it in here. Okay, and then we should just be able to go like this in the new view and bring it in. So we'll say moment. I think we can use it now. No errors. So let's just try it out really quick. Let's go into our additional details component. We have these couple of like functions for formatting the date, but let's see if we can use Moment.js for that now. So let's see, so right here, if we change it to we want the calendar time, subtract 10 days. Okay, so it's going off of, okay, I see what's going on. Add 10 days. Let's see. We want let's see. Node.js, require JS, parse. So if we just say moment, what is that going to give us? Okay, let's see. Moment is not defined. Do I have to bring it in on this component, or no? We should have global access to it. Alright, let's see. Timeout. Let's see if we do clear that out. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Let's see now. I don't know how to bring in stuff into Vue yet. I'm just realizing that. Let's see. Maybe I do, I just can't think of it. Moment.js. Let's just try and bring it in from Moment. And then if we were to say Moment like that, dot format, maybe I'll just pass in this. Let's see, display, format. So do we say moment, pass in this dot do, then we format it. Let's see, what do we want to say? Look at all these formats, jeez. So we'll just say month. in quotes, month, day. Let's see if that gives us. What about this one? What if we do it in here and just say what if we say new date equals moment dot moment date console.log new date. We'll just bring this back in here and say this dot do let's try that. All right, let's see. So Okay, so let's take a look at this. I just want to see editing details. Okay, so that's where that's getting that from. Not sure, can't figure out it. Let's see. Edit details, and it goes down. If we do it again. Weird. See, it says it's 12th, but let's see. Go back to this thing. I don't know why it's bringing it down to that. It's interesting. Alright, well, so far, so so far not the best. I don't know. Still learning, so whatever. It's all good. Let's see if we can do anything though tonight, so I don't know. Let's see. That works. That works. And we just have a couple of bugs and a couple of different things that are going on, so okay. Let's see. Let's try and do something else. Okay, so let's just try switching focus. And I'm gonna go down here. And I gotta figure that out. Let's try and do some Vuex stuff since that's fresh in my mind. It's been difficult, but it's all good. Part of the process of learning is overcoming challenges and obstacles like this. And okay, so let's just say I npm install vuex -- save. Alright, that's in there now. Let's go into the main file. We have to import it. Import Vuex from Vuex. And then we do have to do, oh wait, no, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not that. It's what we need to do for Vuex to get it running is let's go into, close that, our source folder. We actually have a store already going on, so we can actually just delete all of this since that's not correct for what we want to do anymore. We'll just start by importing Vue from Vue, and then we'll say import Vuex from Vuex, and then cool. So now we will say const store equals new vuex.store. So like what they're saying right here. And then basically we just create a Vue instance, a Vuex instance in here. So we're gonna have a couple of different objects, properties in this Vuex store, and they're gonna be kind of synonymous or with the Vue instance itself. So we got the first one is state, and that's basically where our data is gonna stay. The next one we have is mutations, and that's gonna be where we change, where we actually run mutations on our data. And then the next one we'll need is actions, and that's going to be the methods that we run, kind of like the sequencing of the mutations. So we're not directly calling the mutation, we're calling an action that calls the mutation that mutates the state, and then we pass the state back to our app. So it's kind of confusing, but should be fine. So let's just get a property in our state really quick just to have something in there. So we'll just say current tasks, or we'll say num current tasks. And that's gonna be set to 0, right? Okay. And then we can just say for now we'll just say increase. Yeah. Increase current count, and that'll be a function that takes the state in, and then when we run that we'll just say state dot num current tasks plus plus, because we just want to increase it by 1 when we call it. And then we'll just say that down here. So how do we do the actions again? Let me pull up an example really quick, a reference. try in this tab really quick. There we go. And alright, come on. Okay, so in the actions we use something, a special keyword called context, and context is basically the state, the instance of this store, I think, to kind of explain it. So we'll just write like we would a method, and it'll just take the same name and then so we'll do increase current count, and we'll just say, give it a body really quick, and then so increase current count is going to take the context, oops, I can spell context, right, and then we'll say context dot commit, and then commit means basically just run, or yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. It just basically says run, or like do this action, commit this action to state. And so in there we'll just pass in the name of it, so increase current count, right? Alright, cool. So we have that set up now. Let's go down here and say export default store. Alright, and then so I think in the main.js is where we're going to come in here, and we need to import our store. So we'll say import store from, that's going to be the root folder store, and then what we need to say after that is Vue.use, and this is how we register a plugin. So like something like Vuex, and then we'll pass in Vuex like that. I believe that's the syntax for it. Let me check. And or no, I'm sorry. This actually goes. That doesn't go in here. This goes in our store. So underneath the import statements in our store, we'll use Vue.use Vuex, so it registers it. And then in our main, we have it importing. We still import it like that, and then we just pass it through to the Vue instance, like that. There we go. And that should be what we need to get it up and running. Let's see, what is it saying for us? All this stuff. Vuex must call Vue. Oh, it's gotta be spelled it wrong. It's not in quotes like that. It's gonna just say Vuex because that's the name of the variable. So, alright, everything's working now. And what do we got for errors now? Oh, I see. So it's just giving us errors from a previous session that we left off with the old store. So let's take a look at that and see. It's sitting in, where is it? App. so right here. And we can just get rid of that. And let's see, where's our store? We can get rid of that. Okay. Let's give it a refresh and see where we're sitting. And this thing just does not like how I have Moment.js set up right now. Jeez. Let's see. All right. Well. Okay, so let's see, where are we at now? Let's go back and close this. We can close, delete that, we don't need that in there. And our manage buttons is where we're archiving the task, and that calls a function inside of our task list component. Where is it? Oh, here we go. We can delete this thing and this thing and this thing. Don't need any of that in there. All right, so let's just say what we want to do is every time we add a new task, we want to add one to this property right here. We're going to want to set that automatically when we load it based on how many we have in our list or our array to begin with, but for now we're just going to set it at 0 and we're going to just try and adjust it and see if we can get that to work and then go from there. So let's see, what do we want to do for that? It's going to be not in our task list component. We can close out that, we can close out our app, we can close out the work log and our main. So we have our store open and our add task component open. And it's going to be this function right here, add new task. I don't know if this parentheses has to be there actually, that seems out of place. Let me just try and add something without it and see if it breaks. Oh, let's see. Where's that at? Add new task, update num current task, so undefined. In root. Okay. And blah blah blah. Oops, let's refresh, restart the app. Oh, it's still throwing that, so we have another issue from our old store. Jeez. Okay, let's see. Where's that at? Undefined, alright. task list. Oh, I've been looking in the wrong component. Okay, let's see. Task list, and it's gonna say line 180. So that is gonna be right here, and we can delete that. Let's refresh this now. No errors, just this. Okay, I don't want to see this error anymore. Let's turn off the warnings. There we go. Cool. Alright, so let's add a blah, see if that worked. Okay, they were working to begin with, so look at all those. Delete, 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 and delete. Okay. So what do we want to do? Right, and that's gonna be in this add task component back in the add task component. Okay, so this method right here, we're gonna want to grab and do stuff with the store. So we need to import that, and we want to use this increase current count. So we're gonna have to use a built-in helper of Vuex, and it's the map actions. So there's map state, map mutations, map actions. Those are helper functions. Basically, you can call upon the properties inside of your Vuex store through your Vue components if you import the helpers and whatnot. So we're gonna do that. So we'll just say import, and it's gotta be in the curly bracket syntax for named imports. And it's gonna be map action with an S, and we'll just say from Vuex. And since Vuex is registered globally with this, I think that's all we'll need to be able to call upon the map actions. So let's come down here to the add new task, and then we'll just say underneath all this stuff, we'll say actually, let's see, and this is our methods. Okay, so before we do that, let's register our methods from Vuex from our store. We'll say okay, so map, actually we need to use the spread operator and spread into it since there's an object. And so we'll say map actions, and then that is gonna be we need to invoke it and then pass in an array of strings with the names of our methods or actions. So we'll use the increase count, current count. We'll just copy that, and we can put that in the string there, and that should be what we need to get it going. Don't forget the trailing comma. Alright, what do we got here? Cool. So, no errors. And so now we should be able to call that. And we should be able to call that just by saying in here, after we do all of our logic to add the task and whatnot, we should just be able to say this dot store dot what is it increase current count. Like that, I think. Let's see. We can add, it's not a function. Oops. View. Switch to Vuex number, so that's 0. What do we do to call that? Do we just say store dot increase count like that? Let's see. Store is not defined. How do we do it? Just like that. Nope. How do I call it? Is that it? Oh yeah, okay. So it's, you call it just like it was a method on your Vue instance. That makes sense. So you just say this and then the name of the dealy bob that we're passing through from our Vuex store, and you can see right here it says 0. Let's see if we add a new task and our state increased to 1. That's pretty sweet. Awesome. So we have it linked up and we have it working. Well, it's really cool. So what we're gonna do next is really get this thing, set it off to the races and see what we can do. So we need to have, let's look at our work log really quick. And so for our Vuex store, we're just gonna say spaces got goofed up. What the heck? Okay, so for the delete decrement for delete current task, num of completed, complete on time, late, and on time percentage, and then maybe we'll say what is it? On time percentage, and then maybe number of steps completed total. So just some couple things to get set in our Vue store. Maybe we could even just move all of our state over there to like our task list and our completed task list, and move everything over there, but we'll have to see what happens. Let's just get these things going first. Once we get a better understanding of how Vuex works alongside Vue, then we can try and do some more intricate processes and stuff, because we have getters and whatnot with the get and the set, whatever, with like stuff like vModal and whatnot. So there's a lot of different cool stuff we can do with it. It's just there's a lot of new language that comes along with Vuex, so that's just something to stay aware of as well. So that's a lot of it is pretty synonymous with each other, but it's just understanding that and drawing the conclusion or drawing the comparisons, making those connections so that you can understand it. And so that's what I'm basically doing right now. Cool. Look at all of our useless tasks. Alright, let's just clear all of this stuff out. Cool. Alright, so we have that going on. And alright, cool. This is going to be a good spot to take a quick break. Thank you so much for tuning in to RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding sessions. And music, again, is brought to you by freeCodeCamp Radio. Go check them out. The link is in the description. And cool. Yeah, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay awesome, stay tuned, stay groovy, and we'll get back to where we left off with the Vuex and get some more awesome stuff coded up in just a few. And if you want to check something out, feel free to go and check out the app live right now, and it's going to be at, I'll post the link right at the moment in the chat. So if you want to take a look at what's going on, feel free to check it out, and I will be back in just a few. Alright, back in action. Thank you for your patience. And before the break, we were setting up, we just got Vuex up and running, and we're gonna keep going with that and see what we can get done with Vuex. So we're just gonna use it to do some basic stat tracking for the moment. And basically right now we just got it set up so that we are, whenever we add a new task to our current list, it's gonna add. But you know, now that I think about it, what we're gonna have to do is just pull we probably just want to set it each time. So if we say that right now we're just plussing it 1 each time we add a new task, and we want to do instead of doing that, value equals value. What we want to do is set it to the length of the task list right away each time. So instead of like plussing 1 and plussing minusing, we're gonna just keep it in sync based on the length kind of thing, based on the length of the array of the current tasks. So that's what we're gonna do instead. So the second argument that I pass into this increase current count, and actually we can rename this, so I'll just rename both instances really quick, and we'll just say update current, and then I want to make it task count. And then we need to go into this, of course, and change that to update current task count. And then so it's kind of interesting the way this works. Is kind of tricky for me that we have to, even though we're just passing in the string right here, it's kind of like a custom event. In my understanding is that we're going to, these are kind of like custom events a little bit. I don't know. It's so this commit is kind of like a custom event, and that's what we're like firing with this map actions object. And so where I was getting tripped up is I couldn't figure out where to pass the parameter in with, because we need to pass certain parameters in, right? So, but we just end up passing it in this parentheses right here, even though we don't specify any type of like parentheses in this, like that, or anything like that. You're just calling the name of that action. So what we're just gonna say is pass in a value, and it's just gonna be this dot, where is it? Do we have this in here? No, we don't. So we're emitting this. Instead of doing this in here, why don't we pull this into our main task list, right? So let's just take that out of there. Actually, instead of doing that, we'll just cut it out, so we can just bring it over, and then we can take this. We'll just leave that in there for the moment. If we don't end up using anything on this component, we'll take it out. So let's go back to the task list component, and oops, let's see. The custom event that we're listening for is this new task added. So this is what we're going to do, because we have this saved to local storage. Whenever we save it to local storage, we're going to want to update the store too. So we'll do that after it. So the first thing we got to do is import our store from the store. And we're not gonna do it like that, but we have to import our Vue stuff or our Vuex stuff. And we'll just start with the map actions for now, and if we need to put more in, we will. And it's just from Vuex in this case. Okay, so we have it pulled in from Vuex, and let's see. Let's go back down to that event bus listener, and we will say, let's fix the indenting on that. Store, and this is where we're going to say this. Oops, no, I'm sorry, that's not what we need to do. Before we do that, we need to bring in our methods or our actions from the Vuex store, and so we'll say the same thing as we did in the other one. We still have that on the clipboard actually, so we'll just bring it in like that. So the give each other some space, some breathing room on the code. And alright. So down in this mounted component, or on this mounted lifecycle hook now, we can call that method. So this dot update task count, and then we're gonna pass in this dot task list, and we have that task list length thing still. We do, so we can just pass that in probably, since we have it, might as well. Alright, what does that do for us now? So if we refresh that, and we should be able to actually call this on create too, and we'll do it after everything. So we'll on the created lifecycle hook, we check local storage if we have anything in there for our task data, and then we bring it in JSON, we parse it and bring it in as a variable, and then load it in to our app, right? If we don't find anything, we just console log no data found, and we return to the default, which is this right here. Just kind of shows how to use it. And so what we want to do after that is set what the number of tasks that we have. So if we just have the default one, it's going to be 1, obviously. But if we have, say, 4 or 5 different tasks in from previous session from our local storage, then it's going to set the store as 1, or not 1, but the number that we have automatically on the creation of this component. So let's see if that worked, because it should have already done it. We'll just refresh it, and let's go into the Vue Dev Tools, and if we look at Vuex, we should have let's go into the store now, and we need to finish. So we are passing in as an argument the task list length, and so inside the store we need to finish that, and you can see right here, but we also need to pass in the value like that, and value, and And that should do it, I think. Let's see. Let me check my notes really quick. Oh, because we need to change the name right here. Let me just see. Let's do this one step at a time. Update current task count. Alright, let's see. Does that give us what we need? No, I think we still need to pass in the value. Let me just double check. And yeah, so we need to pass in the value with the actions as well. So it's kind of like a chain. So we have to pass it along the chain, and then right here. And that should be what we need, hopefully. Let's see. What's this? Force refresh. We have 5. Update current state dot current task equals value. Right? Okay. That's okay. That works. Let's see. I think do I need to invoke this? Let's just try going like this. This dot task list dot length. So we make sure we're sending in the right information, and it should be 1. And let's see. Check my reference notes really quick. Let's see. Let's try seeing what we got here. So console.log. Let's just say context and value. Console log fired. Okay, let's see what we got here. So we should refresh it, and that should run it. No data found. Oh, well, that's probably why it's coming up as 0, so it's probably working. But let's see. I don't know. This task list dot length should return 1. This console log. This dot task list dot length. And what do we got? Oh, I see, because we're returning. let's put this stuff before that. Boom. Okay. Let's see. Let's go into the Vue Dev Tools. All right, everything works. It does work. We're just returning before we finished our statements. Okay. So let's get rid of that. That is working. Let's copy that. We can just call that after we load our task data. And all right, and we have that. Let's just, we don't need that as a computed property right here. I don't even think we're using that anymore. Let's see. Storage. Okay, so we want to do it underneath this, and let's just say Vuex store Vuex store and Vuex store and Vuex store. Oops. Let's see. Let's hold on 1 second. I gotta check this. Alright, and so let's see what happens if we add a new task, another store plus, and we got 2 in there. Cool. And you can see it keeps a log of all of our different stuff. And what time it happened at, and we can go back in time, all that stuff. Time travel, they call it. Base state, set it as like where you want to be at. I don't know, kind of interesting. So let's see. Add another one. So we have our base state, it's at 2, and we can go to the current state, and you can see that it's 3. And we can go back and time travel. So if like we were updating something like with Modal or something like that, we could track each change, and it'll track every change to state that we make through Vuex. So it's kind of pretty cool. And if we delete it, well, look at that. It says there, yeah, so we have 3 in there. And if we delete it, we have 2, and delete another one, we have 2. Alright, now we need to set up the same thing for this now. And so in our store, we can just delete that. And so we'll make another method or another mutation. Well, actually, let's start by making another data property in our state. We'll say num complete tasks 0 to start, and then let's just throw the rest in really quick. Num on time 0, and then whoops, not semicolon, I want a comma, num late 0, and then we'll say percent on time, and that'll be a function of some sort. I don't know if it'll be there. Alright, so let's make that mutation now. So let's just duplicate that, since we're just gonna be changing the complete task count, right? And then we'll change that to complete task. And that's gonna be set to the value. And then we can make a new action now. Make sure we don't forget our comma, and we'll do basically the same thing. Update complete task count, and that's gonna duplicate it here. Complete task count, value, all that good stuff. And cool. So we got those in there now. Let's go back into our task list. Or no, we need to go, we can close that out. We can go into our completed task list. And then one thing we do need to add to this whole thing is be able to minimize this, because we don't want to have a list, like a super long list of all of our tasks and all the steps and stuff like that. So that's another thing to keep in mind of what we need to do. Alright, so let's again start by importing our map actions helper. And if we wanted to set something based on our state, which I'll show later on, probably after this example, actually, we will just do a basic display of our state from Vuex. And I'll show how we do that in just a minute, but so for now we're just going to do the map actions, and we'll bring that in from Vuex. Cool, that's in there. And then the methods, let's do our setup really quick. Cool. Alright, for Vuex we're just gonna say that spread operator into the map actions, and then we need to technically invoke it, and then inside of there is where we put our array of the names of the actions that we want to pull in from our Vuex store. And this one is going to be let's just throw a comma on here so it's not yelling at us. And then this one is going to be called the complete task count. Is there no O in that, so or no S, I'm sorry. Alright, so we got that, and then so now we can call upon that, and where is it gonna be? Okay, so we're gonna have to basically do the same thing as our task list component. We're gonna have to initialize this data right away on the created lifecycle hook. So we will say this dot update complete task count, and then we pass in this dot completed task list dot length, much like how we did before. And then we can just copy this and then pull it in for that and say return, and then we'll want to put it, so this mounted lifecycle hook is where we start listening for when we send a completed task to this component from our task list component. And when we do that, and when we save it to the local storage, we're gonna also update the store as well. So alright, cool. You know what we could actually, we're gonna leave it outside of this method. I thought it would be a little bit less wet if we just put it inside this completed or save method, but we're just gonna keep it outside. And let's see what happens now. Okay, so oh, I see. So we need to do it on the initialization of the app. Did you see that? Okay, so when we're on, we refresh it, and if you look at, let's see, can you see that? Oh, you can't even see it. Let me pull this up for you. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, so we look at our state right here. So we have, that's updating. I don't know if you were seeing it earlier, but it was in fact updating. You can see right here. Go in there, and then we can track our state through the timeline. So to time travel to this state, to and time travel to the base state. There's only the one. Come back to here. So anyways, state. So but watch this. See, we have this complete, we have a task in our completed task list, but it still says 0 right here, and when we toggle that component, it then updates it, and that's because it's being called on the created lifecycle hook. So what we need to do instead of that is okay, we'll take these methods out right here, and we'll go into the app.view file. Alright, so we need to write a created lifecycle hook on this component, our app component, and then in here we're gonna write that. And then we're gonna paste in this update completed or complete task count. And we'll need to get this information from elsewhere now. Instead of doing that, we could set up let's see, we could set up a custom event, I suppose, to just load it on load. Mounted methods. Sorry, I'm blocking my mouth. Shouldn't do that. Let's do it underneath this. So we'll say we have the event bus in here. We'll say event bus or what if we did this dot $sign parent dot let's just use an event. Alright, event bus dot $on. Oh, wait a second. Let's go down here to that created lifecycle hook, because we want this to start listening right away, and we need it to be initialized in a function that's called right away. This created lifecycle hook is called right away. So we'll say event bus dot $on, and that will be set to get upload load. Oops. Upload. Okay. So, and then what we want to do is just run an event or a function. I'm sorry, and we'll say this dot completed. Okay, this updated complete task count function thing that we're running from the Vuex store is what we're going to call on this app load thing. So initially when this loads, so in here in the app.view file, we'll say in the created lifecycle hook, we're just going to call or emit that event. So we'll say event bus dot emit, and it's going to be app load. And this could be, I guess, like a generic emit, so we have a quick way to access when the created lifecycle hook or the mounted hook or any of these hooks were fired on like a different component for any reason. I mean, that's basically what an event bus is for passing data from a child to a parent, but you can just like say, hey, I'm the app and I loaded, and make all the other components aware that are listening for my app load event that I'm emitting, so everyone else is aware that I'm calling this function. It won't actually be aware like that because it's just a custom event, but it might be a useful pattern to use at some point or another. I don't know. It might be a complete anti-pattern too, so maybe don't even listen to me. I don't even know, but we're just learning as we go and learning a lot. So Alright, cool. So let's see if this even works to begin with. So we emit that on load, and that's gonna update the state, this complete tasks count. Alright, so bring that up a little bit. That's still this is probably why we're gonna have to bring all of our data into Vuex. Let me see. Event bus. Event bus. Let's see. Does this get called? Let's see. Alright, so it is, but upload and upload. I don't think that's gonna do it either. App hello view. Oh, okay, so we can't start listening for it until it's created anyways. Okay, well, what if we do it? Let's see. Well, you know what? We can check local storage and just do it on that, because if there's nothing in local storage, it's just going to be 0 anyways. So what we'll say is, instead of doing all this stuff, we'll just say created and if if local storage dot get item completed task data. I think that's what it's called. Let's check. Application task data. What would it be called? Let's just go from here. Let's see. Open this up and let's finish it. Completed task data. Okay. So if that, then and what do we do? We JSON.parse it. Let's see. Wrap this whole thing in that like that and say JSON.parse. Temp. Alright, let's see if that works. Let's see, console log. That's not what we wanted. Alright, let's see. Right, because it has that. We still gotta figure out that bug too. Silly. Alright, so let's see. Basically, okay, so that looks like it's working properly. We're just gonna say let's see. This, that, no, not that. Let's see. This dot update complete task count. We'll say temp dot length. All right, so and then we need to bring in our Vuex map actions helper before we can go any further. And from Vuex, methods, need to map that. Whoops. Spread into it, map actions, and then it's invoked with an array and the name of the action inside of it. Alright, this should be all we need. Let's give it a refresh. Alright, let's take a look and see. We have 3 in there. Does it do it automatically now? Cool. Alright. We have our completed tasks and our number of current tasks tracked at the moment. Pretty cool. Awesome. And yeah, let's see. Let's see. Alright, so cool. We have our methods and we have our state, our first 2 objects of state being tracked and being accounted for through our Vuex store. Cool. Well, it's 2 hours in and it's late, so we're gonna call it an evening for the night. Thank you so much for checking this live stream out from wherever you are around the world. I really appreciate the time and attention of yours that you dedicate to this or whatever you want to say. Cool. So what I'm going to do is push the code to GitHub, and it will redeploy on Netlify. Feel free to take a look at the app, what we got so far, and where we're going to go from there. So we're just going to have a few more episodes of this series and then we'll be wrapping it up and we'll move on to the next project. Not sure what it's going to be 100% yet. It'll probably be that Filterfy app that we previewed in a previous episode, but stay tuned and you'll just have to subscribe and follow me on Twitter to figure out what, keep on the up and up about all that stuff. Excellent. Alright, so I think that's gonna do it for the evening. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding. And in the meantime, you can like me on Instagram, like RabbitWerks on Instagram at RabbitWerks.js without the dot, or Instagram is, I'm sorry, screwing everything up. RabbitWerks.js for Instagram, RabbitWerks.js without the dot for Twitter, and yeah, subscribe, like, comment, and stay up to date, give me a shout, and stay connected. Cool. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good night. This is Sean with RabbitWerks JavaScript. Stay awesome.